Come on in, folks. Welcome into Delmarva Sports Insider, along with Mr. Brandon Bossert and Drew Williams, who you'll see in a bit. I, of course, am Sports Director Trayvon Miles. Welcome into the only live and local show giving you all you need to know about sports here on the shore.
That's right, Trey. Great to be back here. Another great Friday night.
Yes.
We had another great week of great finishes and some crazy games out there, too.
Absolutely, and we cannot talk about some crazy finishes and great games without beginning with what we saw last night, the spectacular finish in Pocomoke. Two teams vying for not only position in the Bayside South, but also position in that 1A East playoff picture.
Right.
So we're
Huge
talking
game.
Playoffs this early out. Crisfield taking the trip to Pocomoke to take on the Warriors. Pocomoke eating down low early. Nigel Houston, give me some. Two-hand slam to get the crowd going. Back comes Crisfield. Rykel Waters, give me three. Pocomoke up 3 at the break. Second half, things get interesting. De'Aaron Jones getting it behind the arc, knocking down the 3. Next possession, Jones, I'm feeling it. One more time, knocking down another.
Pocomoke feeling it. Then it's Charles Finney driving to the basket, spots up at the free throw line, and hits the and-one jumper. He had 31 on the night, Trey. And then Warriors up 11. But in the fourth, Christian Waters got hot for Crisfield, 16 in the fourth. And just like that, it's a 2-point game with 2 seconds left. Crisfield ball, and Waters gets it. And guess what? He's calling game right here. Beats the buzzer, 71-70. Crisfield sweeps Pocomoke. Trey, what a game.
Oh, my goodness.
And what a way to sweep them in the regular season.
Well, my coach drew up a play for us, designed for me to get the ball. And it's just like we live for those moments, you know? Like, shooters keep shooting. You miss 100% shots you don't take. I took the shot. Fortunately, it went in. We won the game. Pocomoke's a very tough opponent, but we're better.
All right.
I love that shot right
there. Tell them
there.
how you feel, man. Right? I have a feeling that Pocomoke will be using that for maybe some bulletin board material because that may or may not be.
Wrong.
Yeah, you're right. That may or may not be the last time those two teams see each other. But how disappointing is this for Pocomoke? You had Crisfield right where you wanted them. A defensive lapse, not only at the end of that game, I saw a player trying to go for a steal, but there were a couple in the fourth, and that last one when you're not locked in, 2.4 seconds left. That's deadly.
Right, and they lose by 34 earlier in the season. And you feel like you've got them in the fourth quarter right where you want them. But what a fourth quarter from Christian Waters last night. 16 points, 4 3-pointers. And like Kenny Christopher said, that could be a Player of the Year moment right there for Christian Waters.
Absolutely. That 3-pointer and what he did right there to bring that team back in the fourth quarter, simply amazing.
Absolutely. And now we're going to toss it over to Drew Williams over at the wall with more from around the Bayside. Drew?
Thanks, Brandon. So you already mentioned one of your top players. So let's go to 2 of more top players in the league that have been doing battle. This one on Tuesday night in Snow Hill. Drew Howisen returning back home to take on his Shaquan Williams and his old Snow Hill Eagles. But the Eagles come out hot. Ira Baines is going to drive down the baseline and gets the floater to fall over the defender. Then in the corner, it's going to be Skylar Blank spotting up, and he's going to knock down the open 3. But the Seahawks able to keep pace in this one. Drew Howisen, he's been doing it all year. He's going to take it through traffic, lay it in tough for the 2. And then with time winding down in the quarter, who else? Theo Hobbs, he's going to beat the buzzer with the layup. Seahawks up by 1 headed into the halftime break. Second half, though, Shaquan Williams is going to make his own number. Gets it, spots it up, drains it for a long 2. Eagles take a 3-point lead, but Decatur got hot in the third. DeCameron McAfee is going to get the rebound. Fights through the contact under the basket, and he's able to put it back up there for 2. Then it's Luke Murgott getting it under the basket. He's going to get the layup to go in for the defender's face as Decatur then get the season sweep of Snow Hill with a 57-43 win.
I mean, I love to come back here. It's always a great crowd. It's always a competitive game, no matter how lopsided the teams are. Snow Hill's a great team. I mean, it's always a battle, and it came down. We got lucky this time. We came down and we pulled it off. Well, my teammates, they always help me out. They get me open. They get me in spaces where I'm comfortable scoring the ball, and they've really helped me out this year. And you can tell by my numbers this year.
Also earlier, down in Salisbury, Mardella visiting Bennett. Warriors led by 6 at the half. Third quarter, though, Bennett says, don't call it a comeback. Corey Smith, short pull-up for him, 18 points on the night. Mardella went down in this game, but they were able to battle things back off the miss. Van Taylor doing everything he can do to keep his team in this one. And in the fourth, gets another to fall. 11 second-half points for him. Huge moment. Bennett down by 1, but not anymore. Darrell Turner is going right to the cup, and he's going to finish off the play through the contact, call it an N1. Then later, this kid for Bennett's been huge. DJ Bellin, he took over. Gets the lay in there, and then comes up and knocks down a huge dagger 3. Look at that. Spots it up and knocks it in. Bennett pulls away in the fourth quarter as they roll 82-66. And then just down the street at Parkside, Y-High took care of business pretty quickly in this one. The Tribe with a 20-point lead headed into the fourth. Rams eventually cut in that lead, but still, they fall in this one. The win pushes the Indians to 11-0 in the Bayside Conference, so overall, pretty successful, guys. So, again, we're off and running. We're getting things going. We'll send it back to you over the desk for some more scores.
Thanks a lot, Drew. We got a couple more scores that we must get to you from the Bayside Conference. We will start with North Carolina and Kent Island. The Bucks got a big-time win, and they look like they now have solidified their lead in the Bayside North. Also, Queen Anne's with a big-time win over Easton. I know Easton had been making some noise here lately, but Queen Anne's still doing their thing. And
then Cambridge South Dorchester with their 5th win in 6 games, 70-52 over North Dorchester. And Arcadia making the long trip up to American Corner. They win 67-59 against Colonel Richardson.
So a couple of takeaways, Brandon, that we have to get off. First of all, Kent Island, a monster week. They beat Queen Anne's last week. We talked about it on the show last week. If they were be able to beat North Carolina this week, and they were able to, they have a nice lead in the Bayside North now. The other thing that I want to discuss is what exactly do we have left in the South? We know that we have, I guess, Crisfield. Crisfield has solidified themselves as the second best team.
I would say they're the second best team behind Y-High right now. But after that, we've got Pocomoke. But we've seen Crisfield take out Pocomoke twice this season so far. So we've got Y-High, and then we've got Crisfield. And then after that, it's really just a bunch of teams that's trying to come up to 3rd place at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw on Twitter today. Everything was going crazy on Twitter this afternoon. We had a Player of the Year discussion. I know a lot of people put their input into it. I want to know what you think, and I'll tell you what I think.
Well, I think Christian Waters did a great job the other night of solidifying himself as a Player of the Year candidate, but also maybe as the guy who's the front runner in that race. But also Drew Haweisen's just had an incredible year down there at Decatur. We mentioned last week his numbers he's been putting up, about 25 and 15 all season long down at Decatur. But we were talking during the highlights there that Drew just looks like he's like that junior that's competing against JV kids. Like he just looks like the bigger, more talented, stronger kid when he's facing that competition. But I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. Well, I said it on Twitter earlier. I think the Y-High guys have to get some credit just for what they've been able to do as far as being undefeated in the league. You don't go by undefeated in the league without having good players. So there are some really good players. I think what happens is they have too many good players. So they'll start taking some votes from one another. But I do think Jason Handy deserves some credit for what he's doing, 18 and 10 every night on a team that's undefeated. Also, Christian Waters, what he's doing for that team cannot be ignored. But if you talk about a player that is doing it night in and night out, we got to talk about Drew Hawes. And that's where the conversation has to start. I don't want to say that's where it's going to end, but Hawes is averaging 26 points, 17 rebounds tonight.
Impressive numbers.
That in the Bayside South has not been done in a long time. And I talked to Coach B.J. Johnson earlier, and he said Drew is putting the team on his back every single night.
He definitely is. We've seen it. We've seen it when we go out to those Decatur games. Drew Hawesen is the guy that team runs through.
So, I mean, like I said, 26 and 17, you don't really see that in the Bayside South. So, very impressive. Kind of similar to what Jay-Sean Freeman did last year in the North. You just can't ignore those type of numbers.
Hey, we got another month left to go for this debate.
Exactly right. All right, that's going to be a very interesting debate. That is going to do it for our A block. When we come back, we're taking things to the first state. Jason Vasquez walked it like he talked it last night. We are talking about it when we come back on Delmarva Sports Insider.
My name is Skylar Bank from Snow High School, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Inside.